we're looking to do through Scottish Edge is invest in early stage, innovative, high growth potential businesses headquartered in Scotland. And the reason we're doing that, if you like, with the start with why, is because we're hoping that those businesses will make an economic impact in Scotland. What we're looking for, the reason we're looking for innovation is because we're looking for businesses that are more than local, businesses that can sell out with Scotland, can sell in Europe and beyond, and in so doing bring cash back into the economy. And also we do know from the work that we've done, the research that we've done with the businesses that we've supported, that they do tend to create high quality jobs. So you're talking about graduate jobs and above, and obviously that's important to the economy as well. So that's the kind of thinking behind it. Now with this round, we're looking to support around 30 businesses and invest around £1 million. And we're hoping that, well, based on our experience of the last few rounds, that we'll get around 225 to 250 applications coming into the competition. We usually get about 100 people coming back to us from previous rounds, and then about 125 to 150 new ones. And I expect that will be a similar process. One of the reasons we get there is people coming back is because, unusually for a business competition, we give feedback to every single person that comes in. So we collect feedback from the judges at each stage of the process, and we share that with the businesses. And some people respond to that differently, shall we say. So some people think, okay, there's some good points in there, there's some things I can address, and if I do those things, I can come back next time. And other people, of course, think, the judges don't know what they're talking about, this is a waste of time, I'm just going to move on. So there are different approaches to.
And I should declare now at this point that this time round, I was one of those judges.
Yes.
So I was a semi-final judge.
And you've also been an Edge winner.
I've also been an Edge winner. So I've been on both sides of the table. The very first round ever, actually, of Edge, I pitched and we won money, and that was fantastic. And then almost 5 years later, I was back the other side of the table as a judge. So it was really interesting to be the other side of the table, because some listeners may be aware, I've been out pitching, raising money as a founder, as an entrepreneur. I must have pitched at least 100 times. Mm-hmm. Some of those I did a brilliant pitch and brilliant Q&A, and I didn't raise money. Sometimes I did a shambolic pitch and a good Q&A and I raised money. It's an endless process, mm-hmm. but it is a process. And I've talked about this in the investment episode, and this is why I want to bring Q&A in now. What is it from an investor's perspective or from a judge? I mean, I'm going to talk to you guys as though you're investors, because you're making an investment decision. It may work on a slightly different model, but it's still an investment decision. When you are down to these semi-final and final decision-making points, you're seeing a pitch and then you're seeing question and answers. What's the thinking behind that, and what decisions are you trying to make about those businesses as they stand up?
Well, back to what you were saying, just to pick up on your point about investors, yes, we are. The initial first 4 rounds of Edge, it was grants only. In a way, you could put that money out there and then just see what happened. When I got involved with Edge, because Edge was initially Scottish Enterprise, and then when it came out and became a private company, so we're a social enterprise, we introduced a lending element. And so it's important to us that we get that money back. That is creating our loan fund for the future. So all the repayments that come back in are going back out again as fresh awards. So we are looking at, is this a credible proposition? Are we going to get our money back on this? Or is it a risk worth taking, if you like? And then also the point about pitches versus Q&As, they're obviously both important, but actually I think in terms of your ability to land that funding, I think you do it in the Q&A more than the pitch. So I think a good Q&A will leave judges feeling confident about your abilities, because essentially anyone can kind of stand up and reel off some information, but it's your ability to respond to the sort of probing questions, to the what is the size of the opportunity? Have you considered this aspect in terms of your digital marketing plan? Do you understand about costs of customer acquisition? When people get into those questions and you answer those questions confidently, and you can demonstrate that you've thought through those aspects, that you've planned for them, or that you have people on your team considering them, then that's when you leave the judges with that feeling of confidence that actually behind that story there is some real meat and bones, and that's something worth investing in.
And it's really interesting because it's part de-risking and part understanding the context. I mean, I reckon in the last 6 months, pretty much since I put out an open call to talk to me about anything broadly related to startups, I've had weeks where I've seen 10, 15 startups a week, and I have to go through a process where I need to understand where they are. And I'm looking for about 5 things. Is this a delusion or is this real? Is there something there? Have you built something? Is there a prototype? or is this a concept? And it's actually really hard to tell. And sometimes the really obvious questions that annoy entrepreneurs so much and make them think this person doesn't understand my business, I feel is actually, you just pitched me and I'm still none the wiser whether this is a business or an idea and whether you've done anything or you haven't done anything. Not that one is necessarily wrong, but I need to understand the context of the conversation we're having. Likewise, I need to understand, this might be a great idea, this might even be a great solution, but really, is there any reason on the planet why you are the right people to do this? I mean, I've had tons of ideas that are great ideas, but I am not the person to execute those ideas and turn that into a business. Why you? And I think I've been informally going through that questioning process, and what I observed as a judge at Edge, and also watching the finals and looking back at the many, many, many times I pitch to investors, that they're doing the same thing. They're trying to map you out and understand really broad things about what kind of opportunity is this? Do you understand the customer? Why now? Why you? Why this? And actually, if we inject cash, what are you going to do with it? And where's that going to take you? And it's not a complicated framework, really.
No, I think that's a good point that you've brought up actually is just what have you actually got? Because I have seen people that pitch something a lot further advanced than it actually is.
And I've been guilty of that.
I've seen that happen a lot of times. And I can understand that because at the end of the day, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to have a vision and you have to be seeing that completed product or service in your mind. But I also do think you need to be honest about what stage you're at and also what funding you need to get it to that point where either you're able to put something out and then iterate it as you go along, or you've got to get it to a certain level before you can release it, and that's going to cost that. Now, sometimes people say to me, it's actually going to take quite a bit of money and quite a few years before we're going to get there. And I say, look, the right investors, the right backers don't care about that. If they're excited about the team and the idea, and they can see that it might take you 3-4 years to get to market and it might take another £1.2 million, if they think it's worth doing, they'll still get involved. But what you don't want is to be trying to pull the wool over their eyes, and then in a Q&A, if it becomes apparent that actually you're not being completely honest about the money and time it's going to take, then that you get into trouble.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting, the ones that have oversold where they are and oversold the vision. And sometimes they have become very good pitchers because they've been going through pitch school or they've been out doing competitive pitching, which I did. And you become very good at a certain style of pitching because you're not being measured on, is this a valid business? The people judging you when you're competitively pitching are not making an investment decision. They're making a decision about like how good you are at pitching. Completely different things. And I've seen people very good at pitching who are actually appalling at explaining where they really are and selling this as an investment opportunity as opposed to something kind of like to get super excited about.
Yeah.
But it surprises me the number of people in pitches that I've observed, not just at Edge, but at angel clubs where you go and you see everybody else's pitch or open pitching things, who have absolutely no idea of their financials. I mean, literally, they get destroyed because they can't talk about the numbers of their business. Cost of acquisitions, you say, how much is it going to take to get a customer? How much is that customer going to be worth? The basics
what's the
of
lifetime value
of
of
business
that? Exactly. I think people practice their pitch, and you can do that on your own. So you can practice your pitch in front of the bathroom mirror. You can practice your pitch when you're driving. So lots of people practice their pitch over and over again. They don't practice enough Q&A. Get different people. Get your most challenging friends. Get your most challenging business contacts. Sit them down. Get them to keep asking you questions over and over again, and make sure that if you can't answer it, you go away and think about why you can't answer it. You research it, and then the next time you can answer it, so that you are actually at that stage where you think you can throw just about anything at me. And then, of course, if you do get the situation where if you've confidently handled a bunch of questions and then you get one thrown at you you can't answer, the fact that you've done well with the rest, you can say, I can't answer that, but that's a good question. I'm going to go away and look at that, and then move on to the next one. So yeah. I think practicing your Q&A is so important. But can we go back to the point earlier about, you were saying that the question you got is, panel don't understand my proposition. Well, then I would have to say, that's on you. If you've had 3 to 5 minutes, or even some people get 10 minutes to pitch, and you then don't get good questions, what's gone wrong with your pitch is what I would say. Because if the panel don't understand your business after your pitch, there's something wrong in how you are presenting your business and your opportunity.
And that's the point, is that in a pitch, when you are having any kind of investment conversation, but particularly in a pitch environment, and it's not just Edge where you will do that. If you're going to angel funds like Angel Academy,